Kevin Harvick takes a jab at Stewart-Haas Racing. NASCAR says Goodyear will get more aggressive, and it's time for my weekly power rankings. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Happy Monday. It's the greatest week in racing leading up to the greatest day in racing. We'll have lots to discuss between now and then. Should have some special guests joining us on the show later in the week. We're going to kick things off, though, with the latest out of Stewart-Haas Racing. First, if you missed it last night, I gave my reaction to Kyle Busch versus Ricky Stenhouse Jr., that scuffle, soft tires versus hard tires. We talked all things North Wilkesboro, all things All-Star. You can click right up here or down in the description below to check that episode out. But for now, let's talk Stewart-Haas Racing. It's utter confusion within the walls of SHR. Kevin Harvick spent the final 10 years of his NASCAR Cup Series career driving for Stewart-Haas Racing, won a championship with them in 2014. But this weekend, he had the opportunity to work with Hendrick Motorsports during All-Star race practice and qualifying. A couple days ago, Kevin Harvick was asked by reporter Dustin Long if there was anything that stood out to him about how Hendrick Motorsports operates. And Kevin Harvick had this to say.
I heard from the owner twice in 2 weeks. So that's different.
See, I always wondered if the Gene Haas and Tony Stewart need to be more active at the shop narrative was just created by fans and members of the media to try and explain Stewart-Haas's fall from grace. Nope. Kevin Harvick, a former driver, appears to be acknowledging that even those within the team have noticed Gene and Tony's apparent lack of interest. Wow. Harvick went on to commend Hendrick Motorsports for their strong structure.
There's just the depth of the business side and the racing side is, it's deep, and I think that is pretty eye-opening just from the structure from the whole thing, and I like structure.
That first comment about hearing from the owners for a change, I think was a shot at Stewart-Haas Racing. The second comment here, complimenting Hendrick Motorsports for their strong structure, strong organization. I'm not going to try and read between the lines. I'm not sure that's a jab at Stewart-Haas, but it is clear that things at Stewart-Haas Racing are not as structured as they need to be. Shoot, you've got the drivers taking things into their own hands, forming their own study groups. And now there's new information from reporter Bob Pockrass. He's reporting that folks within Stewart-Haas expect to know the team's future within the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, it's chaos. Nobody seems to know exactly what is happening. There are still several paths on the table. Stewart-Haas Racing likely won't renew their agreement with Ford. They've already made it clear that at least 1 or 2 charters and maybe even some buildings are for sale. And recently there's rumors that the whole operation could be for sale. Stewart-Haas may not even exist, at least in the NASCAR Cup Series, after this season. My takeaway, after listening to Kevin Harvick there, I think Tony Stewart's out. I think he's already halfway out the door. I think he commits. I think he sells off whatever stake in NASCAR he has. He's already sold off his sprint car series. I think he's going to fully focus on drag racing, his family, and good for him if that's his prerogative. I think Tony Stewart is out after this year completely. Now that is me just trying to read between the lines. The real question is Gene Haas and Joe Custer, his right-hand man. Do they continue as a 2-car Cup Series team? Do they keep their Xfinity Series team around? That is the question. According to Bob Pockrass, Gene Haas, Tony Stewart haven't been at the racetrack in weeks. Joe Custer is often the most forward-facing Stewart-Haas executive. Does he stick around? That's very plausible. This is also sad, honestly, because just a few years ago, Stewart-Haas Racing was a powerhouse. I mentioned 6 years ago, they had all 4 of their drivers in the round of 8. 4 years ago, Kevin Harvick won 9 races. Shoot, just 2 years ago, Chase Briscoe made it to the round of 8. Cole Custer is the defending Xfinity Series champion. The bones of a successful NASCAR powerhouse are still here. Think about it. Despite all the drama off track this year, Chase Briscoe currently is holding on to a playoff spot. Noah Gragson, Josh Berry are creeping towards the bubble. And they don't even know if they have jobs next year. Their crew guys don't even know if they have jobs next year. Lack of structure, lack of leadership, losing star drivers, losing major sponsors. This team has spiraled in recent years. It's sad to see. Rumors evolve every single day. What do you believe will happen to Stewart-Haas Racing after this season? Leave a comment down below. Let's get back to North Wilkesboro Speedway for just a moment. Goodyear debuted an all-new, softer option tire, a slick tire made from the same rubber that they used to make the wet weather tires. This tire was supposed to be faster on the short run, but wear out quicker, creating more lap time variability. That did not happen last night. The softer option tires proved to be just as good and hold up just as well as the harder prime tires. Still, we saw multi-groove short track racing last night at a repave, which is pretty incredible. NASCAR's John Probst, VP of Racing Development, said after the race that while they liked some of what they saw, they'll admit that they need to be more aggressive.
Did everything go exactly like we thought? No. I think we would have all liked to see the tires fall off a little more, and, credit to the 22 for doing something that honestly, Friday in practice and, working with Goodyear, we didn't think you could do. We didn't think we'd see somebody run it that long and that hard and have it hold up that well. So the good thing is we got some tire tests coming up here in the near future at Iowa and Martinsville, and we'll just get more aggressive. We'll keep stepping up on it. And, it's always hard when we come to a track and you practice in the daylight, you race at night. The track temperature has a lot to do with how the tires perform. So we're going to stay at it. By no means are we done. We'll get more aggressive.
Last night was certainly a disappointment, but like I said on the show, Goodyear should be given the green light to go even more aggressive. It's a lot of pressure to put on Goodyear. Goodyear is basically being asked to mask all of the problems with the car that NASCAR created, but tires are the best place to start. We saw how a tire that wears completely transformed the Bristol Spring Race a month ago. Tires can make a huge difference. I'm glad to hear NASCAR didn't just like what they saw. Yeah, we're good, thumbs up. No, they admit we need to be more aggressive. We're going to push Goodyear to be more aggressive. We have more tire tests at short tracks coming up. That's what I like to hear. NASCAR's not sitting on their hands, standing pat. All's well. NASCAR did create this problem, but at least they're willing to admit that there is still a problem and they're actively trying to fix it. That's all I ask for, is that NASCAR doesn't give up. Goodyear doesn't give up. They keep pushing. I'm glad to hear the words aggressive come out of John Probst's mouth. Now, before we wrap things up, it's Monday, which means it's time for the latest edition of my Out of the Groove Power Rankings, where I rank the top 10 fastest overall drivers and cars in the NASCAR Cup Series right now. Let's rock and roll. Gotta give an honorable mention to our two winners from last night. Ty Gibbs won the All-Star Open, had good speed in the main event, got spun out, and Joey Logano won the All-Star race. He's still outside of the playoff picture currently, but I like what I'm seeing from Ford these past couple of weeks. Keep an eye on the two-time champion. At number 10, I've got Alex Bowman. I had to drop him a couple of spots because he missed the All-Star race in a Hendrick Motorsports car. That's a tough pill to swallow. But he has finished top 10 in the last 4 points races. Like I've been saying, he is very consistent within that 6th to 10th place range. He's top 10 in the regular season points. He's top 10 in my power rankings. At number 9, I have Brad Keselowski. I like what I'm seeing from some of the Fords, and Brad Keselowski has that win from Darlington. He's got a couple other second place finishes recently. Qualified on the front row for last night's All-Star race. Brad Keselowski comfortably at 9. At number 8, yes, I moved him up a couple of spots, Ryan Blaney, the defending series champion. We've seen it the last 2 years in the playoffs. Team Penske can turn things around suddenly. Did that just happen this past weekend? Joey Logano wins. Ryan Blaney finished 5th yesterday. Is that nothing, or is it something? I think it certainly is a little something. Ford has definitely found a little something the past couple weeks. It's remarkable how fast things can change in this sport. At number 7, another Ford, Chris Buescher. I know he doesn't have a win yet this season, but he was second by this much at Kansas. He should have probably finished at least second at Darlington. He was 3rd last night at North Wilkesboro Speedway. RFK just keeps putting cars inside the top 5. I see Chris Buescher continuing to move up this list. For now, I have him at number 7. That'll do it for the Fords for now, at least. At number 6, Tyler Reddick. Finished outside the top 10, wasn't able to back up his strong all-star performance from last year. He's still 6th in the regular season standings, and he did have a really strong run at Darlington a week ago, had winning speed, just got a little in over his skis there with a few laps to go. I've got Reddick at 6. This week, I have Chase Elliott in position number 5. Last week I said that Elliott and Reddick were basically tied. I'm giving Elliott the edge this week because he scored a top 10 at North Wilkesboro. Chase Elliott is crazy consistent. I know I harp on it pretty much every single week, but Elliott is yet to finish a race outside of the top 20 this year. That is extremely impressive. Chase Elliott at number 5. My top 4 hasn't changed this week, spoiler alert. William Byron at 4, a rare mistake. Saw Byron get into the wall in the All-Star race, broke a toe link, finished many laps down. But he was good at Darlington a week ago. It has been a few weeks though since we've seen Byron be great. I'm keeping him in the top 4 for now because he does have those 3 wins. He's tied for the most top 10s this season. I still feel William Byron could dominate a race any given week. It's just been a little while, so I am keeping a close eye on the 24 team. At number 3, once again, I'm sticking with Martin Truex Jr. A solid, decent, quiet night at North Wilkesboro. He's 2nd in the regular season standings. I've got his teammate Denny Hamlin, number 2, still in my power rankings. A 2nd place finish in the All-Star race. He was the only guy in the same zip code as Joey Logano in the closing laps. And at number 1 still is the very busy Kyle Larson. Didn't make a single lap all weekend, was busy qualifying an IndyCar into the Indianapolis 500. Will start 5th next weekend. That's insane. Shows up to Wilkesboro starting last, drives up to 3rd at one point, finishes 4th. Kyle Larson, the points leader, easy number 1. I still feel like Byron, Truex, Hamlin, Larson are the clear championship 4 front runners, but I said this last night and I do believe it. Guys like Reddick, Elliott, and some of these Fords, watch out for RFK. If Team Penske's turned it around, hold on to your hats. 3 weeks ago, there would have been no hesitation. Byron, Truex, Hamlin, Larson, that's your championship 4. Now I'm starting to think about it. It's not nearly as cut and dry as we thought it was. Going to be interesting to see how things trend over the course of the summer. But there you go. Those are my weekly out of the groove power rankings. Let me know down in the comment section below if you agree, disagree with this list. Coke 600 is on deck, sure to shake things up. But that is going to do it, y'all, for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to the channel and love all things NASCAR, and a huge thank you to my very generous Patreon supporters for your continued support. Helps keep this show growing. I hope you all have a wonderful Monday. I will see you again soon. Again, got lots of content coming your way this week leading up to Memorial Day weekend. Indy 500, Coke 600, going to be a fantastic weekend of racing. I will talk to you again soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day.